Hang on.
Every time I'm Maximus, I don't see
Okay, guys.
anymore. I
We
just
ready,
see him.
Rick?
Yeah, we are.
All right, Margie, we're ready for our
Okay.
public hearing.
We're going to call to order a public hearing. I'm going to turn it over to Town Manager Pat Reardon to explain what we're doing and why we're here tonight. Mr.
Thank
Reardon.
you, Mr. President. Each spring, the Lake County Economic Development Department applies to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, for new funding through the Community Development Block Grant Program, CBDG. One of the application requirements is to hold a public hearing in the communities where block grant funding is allocated in order to obtain input from local citizens on the proposed uses of the new funding for fiscal year 2023. The town of Merrillville block grant allocation is $147,488. The most common use of block grant funds is for infrastructure, including street reconstruction, sanitary sewers, water line extensions, storm drainage improvements, sidewalks, and projects to remove architectural barriers, handicapped access such as curb cuts, wheelchair ramps. Block grant funds may also be used to eliminate slum and blight through demolition of unsafe buildings or other clearance activities. Block grant funded infrastructure projects may only be done in areas where the neighborhood is at least 51% low to moderate income according to HUD guidelines. In most cases, an income survey must be done to qualify the area for funding eligibility. The income information taken by the survey is strictly confidential and is used solely for the purpose of determining the area's eligibility for block grant funding. Handicap access projects and demolition may be done anywhere in the community without the need for area income determinations. The public hearing is just the start of the application process for Lake County. There is a series of legal advertisements and comment periods that take place during the summer prior to the final grant approval for HUD in late August. New block grant funding is released to the county and its entitlement communities on or about September 1. It needs to be expended by June 15th of the following year. So here, we would look for our dollars September 1 of 23, and they would need to be spent by June 15th of 24. After public comment tonight, 3 documents need to be read and adopted: Affirmative Action Program, Section 3, understanding, and a resolution authorizing the city, town executive to submit a project proposal for block grant funding. Finally, project applications and a submitted application with documentation need to be submitted no later than April 30th, 2023 for review by Lake County. So at this point, I'm going to open it up for comments, and if the council would be okay, I'll defer to the public here. Some of you might be familiar. Let me get to the phone or the microphone here. These are dollars rather that the town receives from the federal government. It's really a 2-year funding cycle. Our last project that we used monies for had to do with demolition activities and clearing of the former carriage property at 73rd and Madison. So as I read, demolition of slum and blight of dilapidated structures is an acceptable activity. Do you have any thoughts, any ideas, any comments to what you heard? Do you have any ideas on how you'd like to see us spend these dollars? Again, the dollar amount is $147,488. Not a small amount of money, but certainly something that we could use and perhaps leverage. Gentleman, lady, sir in the back, any comment? Sir, up here? Okay. I would turn to the council and ask for your opinions.
I thought it was more than 147,000.
No, that's pretty consistent for what
Yeah, no,
we've.
it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, no, I'm good.
Okay,
Mr. Reardon, for the record, I will state that I know I've talked to Street Department Director Steve King. He had some ideas about using some of this funds to do some road improvement projects, and I would certainly support those ideas moving forward.
okay. Mrs. Uselak?
Yes, I would support the same idea, like Rick just mentioned. If we could use the funds for some of the street repairing and paving or whatever, I think it's a great idea.
Okay,
But everything you said so far, Pat, makes a lot of sense, so thank you.
okay. Councilman Pettit?
The only comment, I guess, or concern I would have, and I guess I concur with Rick and Margie, is the street that's picked, obviously, Pat, is gonna have to have a survey done, correct? And be classified as low to moderate income.
51%
those
at
houses
least,
on that street.
correct.
Just throw it out for the council to consider, in the past, Rich is familiar with this, and I think Margie is too. There were times where we used this money for handicap ramps.
Right.
Yeah,
The
we should be pretty
impressions,
good there.
Yeah.
at street corners, we did that. I don't know, Pat, if, the possibility of, streetlights would be eligible, but again, you're gonna have to survey the neighborhood.
Right.
To see if they qualify, and Rich, I guess I turn to you on your committee, if there's anything, or do we know from, Vicky, are there any buildings that are jumping out, that are screaming to be addressed like we did with the old mill?
Right.
And the carriage house, that need to be taken down, would be my only comments.
That's good
I
stuff.
got one thing, as I sit here and think about it, because people have started to complain about it now. Sidewalks in Georgia Heights. You know, we tried that, a few years ago. Surveyed the people, Bruce was the town manager. Surveyed the people, and people were kind of adamant about no. And now you got a different group of people coming there, moving in there now.
Yep.
And so now they're starting to clamor for sidewalks. So, and I can guarantee you that, that area would fit the criteria of 51%.
Yeah, I've had the same concern, Rich, between the high school and Pierce Middle School going down.
Right, yeah.
Delaware. We put sidewalks in on the west side of Delaware.
Right.
And I hear from the constituents, well, the kids are still walking in the street, they don't use the
Yeah.
sidewalk on the
Right.
west
I
side.
know,
So,
that's
true.
you know, you can lead a horse to water, I guess
Right.
is how.
But you can't
So,
make them
yeah,
drink
so
it.
I think that maybe if we look at maybe some sidewalks or the possibility, my suggestion would be, let's just do a survey, see what the people want. If the people come back and say, yeah, and let's, look at the financial aspects of it and see if they meet the criteria.
What are you talking about, a survey only in your ward on
It's-
Georgia
it's all-
Street
yeah,
or
because-
all through Merrillville?
No, the people, it would have to meet the 51% mark in whatever area you go in.
Oh, I see.
It's not the entire town, just whatever
Right.
area you would go in. And
Okay.
in this case, it would be Georgia Heights.
Well, I know they have a lot of renters out there,
What-
that
what-
area.
They got a lot of renters everywhere.
Right,
It's-
throughout Merrillville there.
Right,
Yeah,
so, I mean, that's just something.
sure, food for thought.
Might I suggest, Mr. President, I know in the council meeting, you're gonna announce we've got a workshop on the 28th. The seven of us and Pat and Steve, probably need to come, make that an agenda item, and whoever has ideas, we put them on the table, and then Pat and Steve can sift through and do the survey. If
Right.
only Georgia Heights comes with sidewalks, if someone can think of a street they wanna have paved that they think might qualify for 51%, I think that's the way to probably approach it. We do that in the council workshop you're gonna
Sure.
schedule.
Then we could contact Pat, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sounds good.
That's fine.
I believe you have some statements you need to read for the record, is that right, Mr. Reardon? Seeing that there's no other public comment?
Well, pardon me, I'm scrolling through my packet that we received. I don't find any other,
Well, you had mentioned it at the start of your comments, that's why I was
oh, okay, thank you. Let
asking
me-
about it.
Yeah, these are documents that need to be read and adopted. I believe that we'll present these at the 28th meeting.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for that. It's the affirmative action program, understanding resolution authorizing us to submit the grant application.
Very good.
I-
Does that conclude our business?
Yes, it does, sir.
Okay. Thank you all for your input, and we'll continue working on the project for sure.
Motion to adjourn or
Second.
It's just a public hearing.
just a public hearing?
We don't really need to adjourn.
Well, I see Mr. Svetnoff in the audience, and
I do
got
too.
I got two attorneys on each
Two
side. I wanna
attorneys.
make sure that we're,
We're good,
Did he
Craig,
know
thank
you
you.
were coming, Ricardo?
He did,
Oh,
but
he's just here as a public viewer?
no,
No, he's
you guys, is there a